The third law that we want to cover today is one that, I mean, just stick with us here for a few minutes because this is a little bit complicated. It's not fun. This is not fun. We'll just warn you. And it is so essential that you understand the details around this. And so it has to do with overtime and who is eligible for overtime based on their status as an employee. And so now you all should know this, but there's exempt and there's non-exempt employees. And there are certain roles that are by nature a non-exempt role and by nature are an exempt role. And we encounter all the time people who have misclassified an employee, have put them into the bucket of being an hourly non-exempt role, or have put them in the bucket of being an exempt role when really they should be hourly.
Yeah,
And and it all comes down to then if you are working over 40 hours a week, should you get overtime or not? And
right.
so, yeah, so in essence, so tell us more about this one, John.
Yeah, this one is a big deal. Capital B, capital D. It has been in the works for a long time. And what it is doing is raising the salary threshold for exemption from overtime, which means you have to make a certain amount of money before they'll even allow you to be exempted from overtime. Now, I want to get back to a point that you made earlier, Kendra, which is that we have seen this a lot where employers feel like it's kind of this arbitrary decision. Like, oh, well, it's easier for us if we're just going to exempt everybody. And there's a couple of different categories to exempt people. They'll use the administrative exemption and they'll use it pretty broadly. But the thing is that you really have to be handling very classified information or confidential information and making decisions independently that affect the business to be able to exempt people with that. And so the other thing I encounter is, oh, well, the employee actually likes to be salaried, and so we exempted them. Like, no, you can't do that either. It is not a decision that you make arbitrarily or because of a preference. It is based on very specific criteria that is handed down from the Department of Labor. And these claims, when they come up, these wage and hour claims are so costly. What happens when Department of Labor comes in? So usually a complaint is made. It's because an employee has not been paid overtime. And the Department of Labor comes in and says to that employee, okay, so give me an estimate. Over the last 3 years, how many hours of overtime do you think you worked? And they will give a ballpark. Let's say, oh gosh, I don't know. I worked, 5 extra hours every week for the last 3 years. So then the employer owes time and a half for all of those hours, back wages, and on top of that, fines. And then it's not just that employee, it's any employee, because they're now going to dig into your entire organization and ensure that your exemptions are done properly, which are based on the responsibilities of the job and this salary threshold. So the way that is shown up very classically in the workplace is in retail, where retail establishments have exempted supervisors. But these supervisors aren't very highly paid. And actually, the majority of their time is spent doing the same work as all of their employees. But then they try to exempt them so that they don't have to pay overtime for like opening a store and closing a store, right? So the issue there, it is going to actually hit retail pretty hard. They're all going to have to raise the wages of their supervisors so they can make sure to exempt them.
Okay. Yeah. That's so good. That's so helpful. And I mean, honestly, for our listeners, I've wrestled with this a little bit too as an employer, especially on the administrative team. And it's like, okay, let's I mean, I certainly don't want to be breaking any rules, right? Or any law. Turning the corner HR is fine for HR violations. Right? But yeah, it's complicated. And so if you are unsure of if you've got the right exemptions or if exempted the right roles, just call us. Let us know. I mean, we can help you walk through this and reclassify employees and just do the right thing by the Department of Labor is recommends. Or
Yeah, it
is
really takes
recommends is enforcing.
Absolutely, is enforcing, and it takes somebody with some expertise to go through your job description, and sometimes it even takes what's called a desk audit of like walking through with an employee, like walk me through your day. What kind of decisions are you making to really ensure that you're exempting people appropriately? And I will say, if you can get in front of it and correct the issue and potentially maybe pay some back over time that you owe, it is a lot better than having to go through an audit with the Department of Labor and the fines and the additional years of back pay that you might owe somebody. So it is better to get in front of it than be responding to an audit.
Yeah, we had a client a few years ago that went bankrupt because of this. And so it's a big deal. And the Department of Labor here in Colorado is they are not ones to shy away from doing these audits.
They're
So
not. Yeah, or the Federal Department of Labor. That's when you really don't want
yeah.
it.
Okay, well, we hope this is helpful. And again, we'll include all the information in the show notes. And please reach out. We always offer our time for free to at least get some things rolling. So let us know if we can be supportive of you. Just fill out the contact us form on our website, turningthecornerhr.com.